Hi everybody, this is Leo Volont with part 6 in the series. And this is chapter heading from the blog. Part 6, Jesus the Jew versus Christianity. The nature of the miraculous. Faith as a negative. Lack of faith explains religion's failure to do the impossible. Supernatural, spiritual beings and magic. The transcendental God of unity of oneness is like no God at all. Albert Einstein, transcendental God, even better than atheism. Moral religion is dualistic. Now let's get busy. But now we should ask ourselves, just what was the inherent significance of Jesus of Nazareth? Well, it's clear he was a saint. Miracles would explain his great popularity. Of course, if he were a rabble-rousing revolutionary with a gift for oratory, then he would also have been popular. But the Pharisees and the Sadducees would have been afraid for their lives to come around and show him such overt contempt. But this wasn't the case with Jesus. Also, Jesus got along well with the tax collectors, who would have been uncomfortable in the company of a violent revolutionary. So it must have been miracles. But was Jesus also the Jewish Messiah? Well, what is the difference between a saint and a Messiah except for the intent of his or her angelic support? Well, wait a second. I guess we here have to take some time to discuss the nature of the miraculous. You know, it is a mistake to think that faith can work miracles. Faith has always been a construct employed by spiritualist con men. It's always used in a negative sense to explain why miracles don't happen. For instance, say you should pay $1,000 to an Indian guru who whispers in your ear a sacred mantra that he promises will heal the sick, allow you to walk through walls, and to levitate. Well, you go home and try it, and your cat still coughs up hairballs. You bump your nose really bad, and no matter how much you do that mantra, you still can't get up off your ass. So, you go back and ask for your money back, but the guru tells you that it should have all worked out fine, but the problem is you don't have faith. So you look around and notice that it's not working for anybody else either. And so you mention it to the guru. And you go, yeah, lack of faith is a big spiritual problem nowadays, he says. So you suggest that he heals somebody of something. He walks through a wall or two, and maybe he can pick his own ass up off the floor. Yeah, I would, he says, but your negative energy is a real bummer, man, and it's bringing me down. Besides, here it comes, just asking for proof destroys faith, thus making it impossible to prove. So yeah, they got an answer for everything, and it always comes back to faith as the ultimate runaround. Wherever money and spirituality mix, faith is always the escape clause. This idea of faith is certainly Paul's greatest contribution to religion and spirituality. In terms of developing them as lucrative business models, the New Age movement would go out of business without it. But in spiritual terms, faith's biggest miracle seems to be that after 2,000 years of everybody getting ripped off by it, that not more people are complaining about it. So spiritual people need to stop looking to faith for miracles. So does that mean there are no miracles? Well, there are thousands of miracles in the historical record which won't go away unless we start some serious book burning. But we know that miracles were not always explained by faith. For instance, the shamanistic traditions tell us that miracles are the work of spiritual entities, light or dark. Persian Zoroastrianism, which by the way was the religion of the Magi, which you may be familiar with in terms of the 3 wise men. And they were Zoroastrian Magi. Well, the the Persians, the Magi, they speak of these spiritual entities as angelic when connected with light and goodness, or demonic when connected to darkness and evil. Of course, we can expect that between the min-max poles of the light-dark continuum, there were a great many spirits who were not wholly one thing or the other. Shades of gray. And I expect that these were the spirits who did most of the heavy lifting in the magic of the Magi, and after the Arab conquest, the Fakers and the Sufis who came later. A lot of magic there. So, if we toss out faith, then we must suppose that saintly miracles can be possible only with the active support of angels. Or maybe it is possible that a person with a great deal of work in his dreams and astral travels may find a way of developing a kind of angelic power within his or her own self. The stories there are mixed. Sometimes we have saints praying for results to some third party and then they happen. We have shamans who conjure up spirits who then do stuff. And then we have those who just seem to do it all on their own. I really wish I knew more about it. Now, some people might insist that God is performing these miracles. Well, the God works miracle argument falls down in two ways. First, it is rare to see any big miracle, in the sense that supernatural phenomena seems to require the same kinds of forces, matter, and energies as material phenomena require. Only the spiritual variety, it originates from another plane or level. But these are limited, finite phenomena, even though they are supernatural. If we define God as infinite, well, that means we're over-defining the miracle process. We're using way too much gun for the bear we're shooting. And if God were involved with infinite energy resources, then we'd read of as many big miracles as small. But that's not the case. Secondly, the enlightened mystics who have experienced God consciousness, they come back to tell us that God is transcendental. And what does that mean? God couldn't care less about worldly stuff, good or bad. It's exactly the same as how you can't expect a spaced out junkie to be a great community activist. The transcendental God of oneness is the ultimate spaced out junkie. Oh, that reminds me of an interesting story about Albert Einstein. It seems that European scientists were fleeing the Nazis and coming to America, but they were shocking all the provincials with their cold, blatant atheism, which was getting a lousy press and threatening their funding. And so Einstein got them all together and told them to do what he does. That is, to say that they believe in a transcendental God. It sounds really good, but that a transcendental God would actually be so useless as to not really exist at all, right? And so, win-win. Everybody gets what they want. Yes, that man was a genius, wasn't he? Anyway, if we want goodness, social cohesion, and a high civilization based on love and peace, then Einstein was right about how an indifferent, uncaring, transcendental God of oneness would be useless in getting us there. We would actually have to go out on the extreme light end of dualism and invoke the angels. They don't have to be white light angels, but the rule is the brighter the better. Hey, let's move on.